And this one is a cooperative tower building game where players are going to be trying to build these towers in order to defeat 4 different bosses. The game provides a bunch of different bosses to choose from, but at the start of the game, players are going to be taking one boss of each elemental type, and then shuffling those together and then distributing them face down on the right-hand side of the board here. The bosses don't do anything while they're face down, but players are going to be moving a token down this track as they move through the rounds in the game, and anytime that the token reaches a spot that's connected to a boss card, that boss card is going to be flipped right side up, and then whatever negative effect is outlined on that card is going to be in play until the players defeat that boss. Luckily, each player also gets to choose their own character at the start of the game, with each character having special abilities that can help you along the way. And then the game just plays over a series of rounds as players try to build those towers to try and defeat those enemies. And you can see the main board here has a few different outlined areas where you're going to be building those towers. And there's a few different things that you do on your turn. The first thing you're going to be doing is drawing a floor tile from any of the available stacks. And this doesn't allow you to build that right away, but instead it's going to be putting it into a shared supply that you will be able to build from later by using your actions. You're then going to draw 3 resources from the resource bag, and then you're just going to be putting it in the shared pool in the top left corner of the board. And these resources just represent different elements, and you'll be able to combine them in different ways in order to take some bonus actions. But until then, they just remain in the pool here, and then you're going to be rolling 5 of the action dice. These dice are going to have different icons on them that you're going to be able to spend to perform some basic actions. These actions could be to build one of those tiles from your supply out on the main board, but in order to do this, you do need to meet a few other requirements, with the first one being that certain tiles can only be built upon certain other tiles. And then also you do need to have all the appropriate pillars built before you can build on top of a tile. Building those pillars is one of the other actions that you might be able to perform, and you're doing all of this to try and build a tower of at least 4 floors height, because once you're able to do that, you can actually complete a tower, which allows you to put this cap on the top of it along with one of the elemental crystals. And depending on the type of the elemental crystal that gets put on top of it, you're going to be removing the boss that matches that elemental type. But the benefits don't stop there, because when you do complete a tower, you also get to choose one of the reward tokens that are going to be offered in the game. There's going to be a few on display, and these are going to be some one-time use abilities that will give you some sort of benefit. But aside from the different actions that the dice will offer you, you might also find yourself gaining some different resources of the different elemental types. And like I mentioned before, they do go in this pool here in the top left corner of the board. And what you can also do on your turn is spend any amount of these to activate the different spells on this section of the board. And these can allow you to do things like draw additional tiles, roll additional dice, or even move, destroy, or convert the different invaders into resources. Now, I haven't mentioned the invaders yet, but at the end of your turn, you're going to be moving the token down this track, and this is known as the invader track, because whenever your token moves down this track, not only can it possibly flip one of the boss cards, like I mentioned before, but it's also going to add the number of invaders to the board as indicated in the space where the token moves to. The invaders move into any of the available spaces on your tiles that aren't already occupied by a pillar, which means that they are going to be blocking you from building those pillars until you are able to move them. Not only that, but if there isn't a space for that invader to move into, then instead the players are going to be taking damage. You really don't want this to happen because you only get 2 health in this game, but luckily you can defend from each type of element once. So if you are being attacked by an invader, you really want it to be a different element than one that you've been attacked with previously. But it's important to know that players will also lose the game if the token ever reaches the end of the invader track, but the players win if they're able to build those 4 towers and eliminate all 4 of those bosses. If this one sounds interesting to you, you can go ahead and check it out, and I'll have it linked in the description down below.